behind this stream from where the yokels grow, and as you can see, we're standing in my backyard. And that means in this video, we are going to be doing our first 2022 garden tour. You're going to get to see the good, the bad, the ugly, and the why we're doing the things we do, and the updates and the expansions that are going on here in our urban garden. So let's get growing. So like I said, we're going to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I figured we'd start with the good before we see the bad and the ugly. So this is one of our smaller greenhouses, and this is where all the magic is happening. We have lots of seed starts happening right now. We have lots of tomatoes. We have sweet potatoes, some more tomatoes, and these little tomatoes, you see how they have their second leaves? We'll be doing a video soon, and we'll be talking about how to transplant these into bigger pots, individual bigger pots on their own. We also have, in this one, you can't see it, but this one right here is ginger. This is the first time I've ever grown ginger, so it's kind of an experiment for me. We'll see how it goes. And in this little one, we have artichoke, celery, and lettuce. This weekend, we're going to be doing a lot of cleaning and planting. And these are vegetable starts. I have lettuce, well, mostly lettuce and herbs is what's on here. This one right here is an artichoke. This is something new that I've never grown, so this is new for me. It's called cardone or cardon. And then, of course, the strawberries that we planted. Lots of herbs. So we're going to be filming all weekend long, getting all this taken care of and getting it planted into the towers, into the Dollar Tree towers, so that'll be next. This is our next small greenhouses. This is where all of our colder or cooler crops hang out because it's their time of the year. And if y'all remember the strawberries that we planted, let me see if I can get in close. Look at the growth on those. We're getting ready to transplant all of those. Here's some more down here. All of those into the towers this weekend. And something else that's new that I'm growing in here, this is yellow and white turmeric. That's all new for me. These are brand new strawberry crowns that I just got the other day in from Handpicked Nursery. These are the Chandler Islands, so I had ordered some more to get started. And this is what you don't do, folks. You see this? Remember the bad? This is the bad. This is the very, very bad. You're not supposed to let your onion starts go this long. So those will be getting planted this weekend. And then down here, this little beautiful fern. This is what asparagus looks like before it creates asparagus. And then some various flowers. We have some grapes and raspberry down there. Now we're going into our biggest greenhouse that we have here at our house. Hand back just a little bit so you can see everything. And just like the other greenhouses, in this greenhouse, this is the good. This is where the magic is happening. Now, the seeds that you saw in the other greenhouses and the strawberries and all of that, they were all started, I want to say, before the 18th of January, where these ones on this shelf were all started on the 24th of January. Now on these we have a lot of flowers, mostly flowers and herbs. We do have some plants, but mostly flowers and herbs. Right there are some hot peppers. Bring you down here. We have eggplant and lettuce, lots of zinnias, lots of tomatoes. This year, for the first time, I started flower seeds. This is the first year for me to grow that. Typically, I buy flower starts for our garden, but to reduce cost, because I spend a lot of money on flowers, to reduce cost and to plant more native flowers for native pollinators, I decided to start from seed, and that's, you have lots of zinnias, what do I have? Zinnias. We'll also have lots of sunflowers, lots of milkweed that's native to Texas. Things that really draw those pollinators. And I planted a lot of zinnias because I love to have fresh flowers on my table. Typically I would go and buy them, but these I'll be able to cut on my own, which I really am being very conscious about reducing my carbon footprint on our great Mother Earth. And one of the ways that I can do that is by growing my own cut flowers versus going to the store and buying cut flowers. I'm not even sure where most cut flowers come from. I'm sure they come from nurseries. You know, people grow flowers, and I am almost positive there are sustainable growers out there. But for the most part, the flowers we get at Kroger, Walmart, I would probably say those probably don't come from sustainable growers. And then on this shelf, that's the Great Leaning Tower of Pisa that I'm going to have to correct. Didn't notice that till just right now. But on this shelf, we have our grow pads and our grow lights. And that's because the seeds that are on here were just planted just a couple of days ago. Let me get a good, can you all see those? And then here is the grow lights. Now we keep those on at night because, as you know, the temperatures drop and it gets kind of cold, and we want our seedlings in the soil to stay as warm as possible. We do have a heater in here, and then at night I have a secondary heater that I put in here and turn on to keep everything warm, because honestly, though it's warm in this greenhouse right now, as the temperatures drop overnight, it gets below 50, and you want to keep your greenhouses at about 60 degrees. So we need the secondary heater to kind of fill in what this little heater down here doesn't do. But over here on this shelf, this has some of our native bluebonnets. Now, for those of you who've been in Texas or drove through Texas during the early spring, and you see people lining the highways, and they're sitting in those big, beautiful purple and pink flowers, those are bluebonnets, and that's what's growing here. And in this tray, we have a various of herbs, flowers, and I guess I got an eggplant right there, and some eggplants. And we also have sugar baby watermelons, midget cantaloupes, little sweet cantaloupes, pickling cucumbers, and some other cucumbers. What do I got back there? I got a market cucumber. I'm sure my voice is in a pickling cucumber. And this particular tray that you see right here, this is the second part of the container challenge. These will all go into containers. They're specifically grown for that purpose. Not all of them are not listed on their package as a container growing, but I've grown them in containers, so I know I can be successful with them. And then down here, of course, we have lots of flowers, lots of beans. These right here, you see my hand? Any pot that this is in, these are all part of the container challenge seeds that I have planted. And then again, we have more cucumbers, more watermelons. We have the, I hope they grow, Kajari melons. Lots of flowers, lots and lots of flowers. We also have, what do we have down here? We have some peppers and some hatch chilies, and those are all starting to pop out. And then as we pan around, these three little pots all have asparagus bulbs in them, and we'll see how they do. This is the first time I've ever grown asparagus. Typically I buy a plant that's already started, but I wanted to try it from scratch, so I can say I did it. As always, coming out of the greenhouse, I forgot to tell you about our 3 new fruit trees. We have 2, I believe these are Japanese plums. Yep, Japanese plums, and a nectarine that we'll be planting here at the house. I do have more fruit trees coming in, but Gurney's has just not got them to me just yet. Hopefully soon. Back of the house and in front of us is Greenstock's 5-tier 5-tier growing system, and you can find those at greenstockgarden.com, and I'll link that down in the description box. And remember, anything that I mentioned that can be linked in the description box will be linked in the description box below. As we walk over here, these are our backyard 3 garden beds, raised beds. And as you can see, this one was our elephant ear garlic bed. And it was covered up, but obviously I didn't do a good enough job, so here's another bad for you. I didn't do what I needed to do and didn't cover it up well enough, and because of that, unfortunately, they don't look so good. But everything I've read said that that's actually really good for it, and they should be just fine. So we'll see. You know, you'll have to come back for a garden up tour, or I'm sorry, garden update tour in the summer when we harvest them. As we come around to this bed, this is a 6 foot by 4 bed, and as you can see, it has leaves and eggshells and other plant materials in it, and that's because we do what's called a chop and drop and compost in place. Because we're in the city, we can't really have, well, we don't have the room. You know, we have a small yard. I know it looks big, but it is small. We don't really have the room to have an actual very good compost pile. I wish we did, because I would prefer to make my own compost over having to buy compost and bring it in. But it is what it is, so this is how we do it. But we do it this way because the leaves and the plants break down and they act like a compost, and they break down and they feed nutrients back into the soil. Because with raised beds, just like container gardens, we're not going to remove that soil out of there. And so we want to feed it and keep it going so it creates a healthy ecosystem within its environment, so it continues to feed our plants as we grow in it. That's Yoda. Now we've come to what most would say is the ugly. Not bad, but definitely ugly for now. This is our sensory garden. And as you can see, just like the beds that we just looked at, the leaves have been left, the old plants have been left, they have not been cut back, and we've done that purposely. Not because we're lazy, we've done this on purpose. We've left the leaves as we did in the beds to nourish the ground below it. We have lots of flowers that will be coming back in the spring, so we want to nourish them and feed them as much as we can. The leaves also act, and the plants that are left also act as housing for any of our beneficial pollinators or beneficial bugs to our garden. They seek shelter in the leaves and in the plants through the winter. So when our soil warms back up and spring kind of starts to really get into full swing, we'll clean this, we'll leave the leaves, we'll cut down any of the bushes or the old branches that need to be cut back. And then once we start to see the flowers, we will mulch again. And then the dry riverbed will be seen. I don't know if y'all can see that dry riverbed going down the middle. You take a look right there. Here's the bridge. And down, straight down the middle is a dry riverbed. This garden was put in for our youngest grandson, Joey. Sorry, he's behind me. He's making all that noise. But I love him, and I wouldn't have it any other way. He came to us 2 days after he was born, and unfortunately his parents didn't make good choices, and he was born addicted to meth. They let us know early on that he was probably going to have some learning disabilities. He's doing fine, he's doing great, I don't want anybody to think bad, but we wanted to get ahead of the curve if he was going to have any of these issues. So we put in a sensory garden. This sensory garden is a sound, a smell, a touch, and a taste sensory garden. And what that means is there were specific things put in that have different kinds of textures for him to touch and explore. Different plants that have different scents. We even have grasses that smell like garlic. I don't know what they were called, and I couldn't tell you to this day. It was recommended to me by one of the ladies down at Callaway's nursery, and she thought it would be a good addition. Of course, we have flowers that make all the smells, and in here he will also have raspberries, strawberries, blueberries, and blackberries for more tasting. He will also have various of herbs where he can peel, and he'll try and eat grass. If we don't watch him, he will try and eat the grass, so we have to pay really close attention to him. but he'll have different things that he can explore to kind of heighten his imagination and to heighten his senses. So as we continue the learning process and he continues to grow, that his mind will be easily stimulated to learn new things.
Hey everyone, thanks for hanging out with me. That was our part 1 of our first garden tour of 2022, the good, the bad, and the ugly. If you found value in this video, please give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new, and don't forget to hit that notification button so you can get notified when the next video comes out, part 2 of good, the bad, and the ugly. I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.